over me fast pines, to which Indians reserve the mind, closing right in front of me. Here is the deer, but as I closely peer, it's a trick that lifts my feet, left here to stay indefinitely. I'll be regretting this day. There is no way. There is no way to release my legs. There is no way. There is no.
All right, hello and welcome to week number 7 of the Monday Night Indy Fix from the Monster Mile, Dover International Speedway. This 1 mile concrete oval characterized by its bumpy surface and 24 degrees of banking. There is a much American open wheel history here at Dover, though. Just the USAC Champ Car back in about 1969 ran here, as well as a couple of Indy Racing League races back in the 1990s, the first of which was a caution-filled race, and the following year they ran, reduced the race by about 50 laps, and Scott Sharp and Greg Ray won those 2 races, and now the iRacing IndyCar Fix community takes to the track here. We're in qualifying provisionally on pole, Rodrigo Franzoni, and joining me tonight is Stephen Larkamp. How's it going, Stephen?
Doing pretty good tonight. Thanks for having me on the show once again. And as we mentioned before, Dover Speedway is actually kind of a local track for me personally. Living in the Philadelphia area is only about 45 minutes away, so I have a bit of a home track appeal to this place. But at the same time, doing this track in IndyCars is something of a unique challenge, especially when you consider that we're running a high downforce package here tonight, similar that you'd see on tracks like Richmond and Iowa. And of course, those tracks are a lot smaller and not quite as fast. Iowa Speedway, you're getting up to around 190 miles an hour thereabouts. You're doing close to 205 miles an hour going into the corners on this 1 mile high banked oval. So that always leads to really fast speeds, and it's really tempting to make a move, especially with the downforce we have, as qualifying has indeed wrapped up, and a surprise pole sitter starting from the point.
Bringing up the grid here, I do think I have the correct grid. We were a little worried about that. Rodrigo Franzoni, P1, Chris Demerit, P2, Alex Van de Zandt joining us. I think this is his first race of the Indy Fixed this season. Trace Shadid in P4, Adriano Fraporti, P5, Dakota DeMade in P6.
And Alexandre Rigon's number 12 will roll off in 7th alongside the 15 of James Kennedy. Row number 5 will be Matt Mercer in the number 9 machine alongside Ethan Courtier in the 13, starting 10th. In 11th, Pablo Diaz-Francis in the number 2, the winner at Charlotte on Monday night and a constant contender up front. He had a rough qualifying, and he's going to be starting 11th alongside John Silva's number 21. The 20 of Matthew Pronto will start alongside Aaron McQuarrie 13th and 14th, and number 20 and 19. Jeff Highsong, who finished on the podium last week on the Monday night broadcast at Auto Club Speedway, starts 15th. He's going to have work to do in that number 11, alongside the 16 of Nate Siefker. 17th will be Christian Assange, number 18, alongside the 4 of Oscar Seed. 19th will be Brian Spots in the number 7, alongside the 14 of Alan Morea, rounding out the top 20. Jim Wallen and Carlos Ruiz, the 17 and 22 machines, will be 21st and 22nd, respectively. And on the back row of the grid, Nick Nabin and Brandon Carl, numbers 10 and 24, the only drivers in the field who did not post qualifying times. And once again, as the nature of this setup really demonstrated, I actually took this for a spin before this race started, and I expected this to be a very close session, and indeed it is. The top 16 cars are within 1/10 of a second of each other.
One thing also to mention here that I didn't mention in P1, that lap time, the lap record here is a 19.438 by Tony Stewart. We're a second and a half faster than that here in the IR18. About, about 23 years since they ran here in the IR97, 98 car. Yeah, so these are really, really quick times that they're putting down here tonight.
And one thing I am considering is that these guys, I believe they do have a bit more power than before. They obviously have a lot more downforce than they did before, and it leads me to wonder what it would be in real life if the NTT IndyCar Series ever did come back to the Monster Mile. Take that image for what you will, but this image is certainly going to be an interesting one here in the virtual world.
Yeah, this is. I don't think IndyCar is quite as insane to go here in the real world, but we've got Rodrigo Franzoni about to bring us to the green flag here.
Pace car is off. The leader, Franzoni, holding up the field, waiting for a chance, and he goes. Green flag flies. We are underway at the Monster Mile. Franzoni with a good... Van de Sant moves into second already, ahead of Demerit.
Power move by Van de Sant, taking over that P2 spot. We think it's going to be really difficult to pass here tonight. We'll see how true that holds.
Franzoni leads lap number 1. Van de Sant getting the toe as we expected, coming up behind him into second place. He will still have plenty of downforce as he's looking to make a move here. Franzoni defends down. Franzoni defends down low. Van de Sant looking to the high line, not quite there yet. Demerit's tucking in the third position, taking it nice and easy right now. The pit stop window, I should note, will open around lap 20 in this 80-lap event. So it's very much, and so the fuel window is going to be very much open to interpretation, as it were, especially if we get a few yellows at this point. But we're holding steady right now, working lap number 4. And for Porty has actually moved up a spot as well, ahead of Trace Shadid for P4.
Yeah, it seems like Alex can tuck, he can get out of that draft, but as soon as he does, that wind hits him and he just slows it down. Gonna have to make that move on the outside, I think. I don't think Franzoni wants to give a peek on the inside.
Yeah, and with the way the setup has been driving with the test runs I've given it so far, the set does have a lot of downforce. So you are going to be able to defend that position very well. It's going to take a forcing up the issue. And actually, I'm seeing in the chat, I'm going for first, says Alexander Van Sant. And no, not in the way that Murray Walker described that British touring car race at Silverstone in 1992.
I've raced with Alex before, and I've seen. I think he has that bound to his, push to text kind of things there. He's looking inside now.
And now he is going for first. Van de Sant down on the low line, gets alongside Franzoni. Wheel to wheel coming off of turn number 4. Still holding on to it strong. Franzoni holding on to that high line. It was 7/1000ths of a second at the stripe, but Van de Sant does clear him. And what I'm seeing, Chris Demare is looking to go with him. He's looking down low as well.
Franzoni closes the door on Demerit, though. But yeah, I was worried for a moment. Franzoni about to get freight trained there with that move. Oh,
it's very easy. Near the wall, turn 1.
Not sure who that is. We don't have
That is Ethan Courtier in the number 13.
Oh, Ethan stopped on the track. Caution is out.
First caution of the night on lap number 9 for Ethan Courtier, who was running in the top 10. He was running in 8th position after starting 10th. Big shame for him.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of that, see what happened to Ethan here. Oh, looked like he got a slight tap. Could have been a net code just right into the wall. There is no margin for error here.
There is certainly not, and that looked to me indeed like netcode from the number 12 machine of Alexandre Rigon. So it shows once again how unforgiving the IndyCar Fixed Series can be, especially at a track like this where close quarters pack racing was very much going to be the name of the game. Big shame for Ethan Courtier tonight.
Looking back, few cars are taking from about 12th back. Nate Siefker here, he faked like he was going to take a pit. He's going to move up another position. He started 16th, and he'll move up to 11th with a car ahead of him. I think it might have been McQuarrie or Diaz Francis hitting the pit lane. If we get another pit or another caution here, this could be a race-winning strategy here, taking this early stop here. You said it. 60-lap stint. We have about 69 laps to go. We're going to be 67 or so to the green from once we go back to green, and we'll see what we can do there. But I don't I don't want to jinx it, but I don't feel like we're done with cautions here tonight.
Well, thanks for putting the commentator's curse on all that, as it were, but but it could very well be true that Pablo Diaz Francis, of course, being the most notable of the drivers coming in, he was running 8th, and he had a rough qualifying. Of course, if you follow these broadcasts, you'd know that Pablo Diaz Francis has been a regular figure towards the pointy end of the field. So depending on how the caution situation plays out, this could be an interesting strategy, but it certainly would seem that Pablo Diaz Francis is certainly looking to play a very different strategy than other people will be running. So he's already cast his die. Let's see what it rolls on.
Looking at the pace car, I think the lights are out on the pace car, so we should be going back to green here.
Indeed it is. We are 1 lap to green once again. Will be the start of lap 13 when we go back to green. It is Alexander Van de Sant starting off first after starting this race in 3rd. Rodrigo Franzoni 2nd. Christopher Demerit, Adriano Fraporti, and Trey Shadid are the top 5.
I also saw on that last lap, there 1 lap to green, right? Dakota just went in the pit, so he's going to come out in 22nd. I don't know if he took damage or this is entirely strategy. You might be just taking the safe option here. Seeing that first 9 laps or so, that was just crazy pack racing. A death wish out there, pretty much.
Interesting call from Dakota DeMay, friend of the show, of course, as the pace car peels off. Van de Sant has it under control once again, running it fairly slowly up on that high line, of course, using that to prevent any passing before the stripe. Green flag comes back out, and a good start from Van de Sant.
A really good start by Van de Sant. Now, I think, we had the race start with a double file restart, obviously. Now I think we're going to spread out a little bit here before that pack kind of gets going here, and maybe a few more laps.
Possibly so, but I'm keeping in mind the amount of downforce these guys have. It could very easily lead to a pack, especially when you got big holes being punched in the air from the big wings on these cars. And with the amount of downforce you still got regardless, it could be easy to maintain that pack running, kind of like what we were seeing at Chicagoland a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. We also saw it at Nashville earlier in the season. Oh, we didn't actually have the high downforce package at Nashville, though. That was the Speedway wings, but it was still kind of very...
Van de Sant trying to defend that low line from Franzoni. Franzoni trying to reclaim that top spot after starting from the pole. The number 23 machine was a rather unexpected appearance towards the top of the field, but it's a very welcome sight indeed for us tonight. He's putting in a good performance.
One thing with holding the white line on the straightaways as they're doing is one of our drivers that has been out here was saying that tire wear is certainly an issue out here. So the longer they run and they try to run that low line, the more tire wear they're going to have. So we'll see how that develops as we have green flag running.
It could very well be. The cars can get a little bit, can get looser and looser as the run goes on. Of course, running in the draft can alleviate that a little bit, but it still could be to the point where, what is the limit you're willing to go to at this point? Going for track position or leading to a point where you could very well lose it.
On board with Adriano Fraporti here in P4. This is just pretty nuts, the kind of laps we're doing here. Totally lap record speeds here. Looks like Alex Van Zandt, actually Demerit currently top of the board with a 17.853, although throughout the field, 17.8s, 17.9s, very fast here, over 205 miles an hour average speed.
Incredible speeds for a mile track. And it makes you wonder if this was real life, how much G-forces would these guys be dealing with? It would probably be a lot, but that's part of the magic of the iRacing sim.
Yeah, I think that this might be too much, and they'd have probably had to remove the front wing or something on these cars to run here. Or yeah, they would have probably ran the Speedway wings is what they would have done.
That would seem like the most likely option, but for now we're seeing what it's like when you've got a setup sort of like what you see at Iowa Speedway, and that one can lead to fantastic racing, at least when the G-forces are not a factor. As once again, Van de Sant still trying to, everyone's seemingly running that medium line on the front straightaway, trying to run a defensive stance and hold on to whatever track position they can. And especially with how big a pack can be, if you swing up high and lose positions, it could easily turn into a freight train.
Yeah, and I'm looking back in the field. It certainly has become a pack after, about 10 laps since we've been back to green. And one of our biggest movers of the race here, and I have to mention his name several times here in the broadcast, folks, is Nate Siefker. He's up at the moment 6 spots from 16th starting. Obviously gained a couple spots with the pit lane sequence, but he had gained a few spots at the start of the race, and he's making some power moves on the outside here up into 6th.
Fantastic running so far for that number 16 machine. He has gained 10 positions since this race began, working lap number 25, starting lap 26. Siefker doing a fantastic job as he's now looking to the outside of that number 3 of Grace Shadid. And this is leading to something pretty interesting, is that it seems like later on in the run you can certainly make a move on the high line work because you're working more and more on that low line, trying to keep the car as stable as you'd like, while strubbing off a little bit of speed too, as Siefker now looks to the outside once again on Grace Shadid in that orange number 3.
Yeah, he's you like to make those moves on the outside there, but they can also bite you really bad, and we kind of saw that with that first caution that we had.
Certainly true. The question mark seems to be is how much will tire wear affect how this happening? And actually note here, we're just getting word that Christian Assan has had a connection failure. He is sadly out of the race. Only 4 laps down. He is reconnected, but unfortunately out of contention. That's a big shame for him.
Yeah, really tough break.
Oh, his friend Zoni once again had a peek down low into turn number 3, and that's letting Demerit back into the fray as well. He's looking to see what he could possibly do to make that work for himself. As now he's looking maybe a bit of mirror driving now. He's got Adriano Fraporti all over his gearbox. And he's having to deal with a move on the outside by Nate Siefker, who has gotten around Grace Shadid. A fantastic drive so far for Nate Siefker.
And he's now working on Fraporti there. And it looks like he has the position. He has to, and then there is that contact
Siefker in the wall!
Siefker in the wall. That is exactly what I was talking about, folks. When
the commentator's curse strikes again. My sincere apologies to Nate Siefker. And it once again looked like it was netcode, perhaps.
But when you're running that high line, you can make some moves out there. It looks really exciting, but yeah, that's really tough break for Nate there. Tough break. Let's get a replay of that one. He was already around on when I went to the replay.
Side by side. with Frapporti, and that was a major bit of netcode for Nate Siefker.
Really
Very
tough break for
unfortunate.
Nate.
There was a lot of gap between them. What a shame for up until then our biggest mover of the race. As the leaders now make their way onto pit row, we are well within the pit window on lap 32 out of 80. Van de Sant, Franzoni, Demerit, Shadid. Staying out, though, is we have a few guys staying out. John Silva being the leader of those in that number 21 machine.
Followed by Dakota DeMade, who did pit. It looks like Silva and DeMade both pit on the same lap there. It would have been 21 laps. They're good to go to the end if these tires survive. So we will see about that.
Could very well be true. And of course, friend of the show, Dakota DeMag, pulling an interesting strategy here. This is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how long he can make this fuel and make the fuel last. If he can indeed make it to the end, it's certainly possible. But the question is, will he be able to maintain that track position and make it to the end at the same time?
Yeah, I think I made a mistake there. I think I said that they pit on lap 21. They are 21 laps into their stint. They would have pit on about lap 12. So they're really close. They can make it about 60 green flag laps. This is going to be, 65 or so green flag laps if we went green to the end. It's going to be a tough one.
Very much so. These guys that have stayed out right now, John Silva and Dakota DeMag being the only two cars on the lead lap that have stayed out. Everyone on back. Alexander Van de Sant, Chris Demerit, Rodrigo Franzoni, Pablo Diaz-Francis, Trace Shadid, Alexander Rigon, Aaron McQuarrie, and James Kennedy. The rest of the top 10, these guys have all pitted. They're going to be good to go to the end. They have nothing to worry about. Silva and DeMay right now are going to be banking on a few incidents, bringing out cautions to save enough fuel to make it to the end.
Well, based on how this start of this race has gone, it's not, a stretch to see another caution here.
Oh, it's certainly not.
Yeah. But again, we talked about it before the show that really the cautions in this top split are significantly lower than they used to be here in the series. So we get a lot of green flag running out here. So
it is certainly true with the amount of regular drivers we see, and what goes with that is the amount of trust these drivers build up with racing each other. They're used to each other. They know their strengths and weaknesses. They talk to each other within the IndyCar community. At least a few of them are inclined to do so. So these guys have an understanding of what they're racing, who they're racing, and where, and maybe lesser in this case of where they're racing, but it's still something that they can wrap their heads around. And these guys are very definitely some examples of the best when it comes to opens and comes to the IndyCar Fixed Series. The top split really is quite different than you would see down in the middle and lower splits. That's for certain.
Yeah, I mean, we all look at it from time to time, where you can go look at the the lower splits, and you'll see maybe the top split will have 1 or 2 cautions, and then the next split will have 3 or 4 cautions, and then continue on from there. So those drivers
we're certainly not watching an episode of Arca Break Weekly with this.
No, we are not. We did have a couple of cars go out in addition to Nate there on that caution, though. So another couple of cars having some issues.
One of them is
there.
Carlos Ruiz. As the pace car peels off, John Silva leads the way. He gets a big launch, starts them off early, and a big jump for that number 21 machine. Dakota DeMag having to do the work to catch back up.
That's right, and as we mentioned on the previous restart, we kind of get a little bit spread out, single file here on these restarts, but in a handful of laps, this thing will get back into this pack race form that we've seen so far here tonight.
Very much like we've seen at tracks like Chicagoland Speedway, where the leader will get a big launch, as we actually got a slow car down on the apron. As right now, Van de Sant looking to the inside, Dakota DeMag for second. Side by side coming off of turn number 4. Still holding that inside line though. DeMag may have to concede this one as Van de Sant clears him, and Demerit is going to come with him, it looks like.
And we'll see if Franzoni joins that freight train on Dakota here. Dakota just might be, he's got a little bit older tires. These guys.
Meanwhile, for the lead, Van de Sant to the inside. New leader once again is that number 5 machine, and Demerit goes with him as well. So the two guys that stayed out here are looking like they're going to get freight trained a little bit.
And we've got Dakota getting around Silva as well. So
Silva has lost 3 positions in about the time it takes to say it.
And now he's coming under pressure from...
Franzoni looking to the outside of Demerit for second place. Doesn't quite get the run yet. But this lead battle is far from over. Working as we approach the halfway point.
Definitely is on at the front of the race here. Demerit trying to go for that victory here. Franzoni doing a heck of a job. He was our pole sitter, and we know by his number, so he's number 23 in the field. This is by iRating how they numbered in these official races. So he's definitely punching above. Oh, and I see Diaz Francis.
Demerit having a peek down low on Van de Sant. Doesn't quite get the run he needs, and Van de Sant running very solid defense right now. As once again, the gap opens up there. Demerit looking down low. Doesn't quite get alongside him, though.
And Diaz Francis got around Dakota DeMade back there as well. Trace Shadid in 6th looking to get by him as well.
And it looks like a reunion of the two main protagonists of the last few weeks of the Top Split Monday night broadcasts are coming together. Christopher Demerit and Pablo Diaz Francis. These two have been at the pointy end of the field of a lot of races this season. As Van de Sant still trying to hold on a low-line defense there. Demerit trying to find any gap he possibly can take advantage of. As Franzoni running that high line there, trying to ward off Pablo Diaz Francis, who's looking down the low line as well.
I thought I saw a car get a little bit loose there, but I think it was Franzoni. Now Diaz Francis looking to get by him inside. Yeah, thanks, better.
Looked like a bit of a scary moment there for Pablo Diaz Francis, as now he looks down to the low line once again. Doesn't quite get the run he needs. Franzoni holding very strong on that top line. As now Dakota DeMay once again has a run on Pablo Diaz Francis.
Making that high line work.
Leads him across the stripe there. That top line really starting to be effective for a lot of drivers, especially as the tire wear comes into play.
Oh, we've got a car into the wall. Brian Spots. No caution yet.
Caution is out.
Caution is out.
Brian Spots.
And I just see him struggling with the banking here. 24 degrees of banking here at the Dover.
That one did look like look like actual contact there, coming down into the number 12 machine of Alexandre Rigon. Rigon seemed to have gone away with it. Spots, not so much.
Trying to get a replay up here for everybody. Yeah. But it is so difficult. There's not much space to work with here. We've seen it from all of these incidents.
Exactly. And with the car developing something of a reputation of being difficult to race when netcode is a major factor, running that close can either be fruitful or it could put you in the wall like it just happened there.
I hear cars burning their fuel because they don't need that fuel to get to the end of the race anymore, now that we're not going to be as many laps under green flag as we previously were.
Exactly. And for those of you watching at home, not exactly sure what you're hearing there, this is a pretty common technique that I've seen drivers in the IndyCars do when they have more than enough fuel to make it to the end. What they'll do is they'll put the clutch in, rev the motor to as much as possible, and let the car coast, so they'll burn off enough fuel. But you gotta be careful though not to do it too much, or you'll overheat the engine, maybe even blow it in the worst case scenario.
Yeah, certainly possible. The drivers can keep track of all of these engine or water temperatures and oil temperatures. I'm not quite hearing it. I heard it for a moment anyway, but it seems like just a little bit of fuel needing to be burned there as they did their calculations live. But yeah, this is going to set us up for about a little bit less than a 30-lap sprint to the end, but we'll see what we can do. Some cars at the back of the field taking a pit stop, but I think everybody's pretty committed to their strategy at this point in about the top 14. Dakota out here with the longest stint. He's been out here for 38 laps. Everybody else around him about half that at 17 laps.
It's actually rather fitting that Dover Speedway is right next to the Dover Downs Casino here in Dover, Delaware, because these guys have already put their chips on the number and the color they bet on the roulette table. Let's see what it lands on. As we look to have about 2 laps to green here, so running through your top 10 at the moment, Alexander Van de Sant continues to lead the way. He has probably led the most laps so far in this event, started third, currently running in the lead. Christopher Demerit, the winner for the last 2 consecutive weeks on the Monday night broadcast of the Indy Fix Series at Chicagoland and Auto Club, runs in second. Rodrigo Franzoni, the surprise pole sitter, doing a very solid job in P3. Pablo Diaz-Francis, the winner at Charlotte a few weeks back, running in fourth. Dakota DeMaig in P5, friend of the show, doing a fantastic job so far. Ray Shadid runs in sixth. Alexandre Rigon is in seventh. Aaron McQuarrie holding on to P8. James Kennedy in ninth. And John Silva, who was leading on that last restart, now sitting in 10th. As we now have 1 lap to green once again, we'll be restarting on lap number 52. About 29 laps still to go.
Yeah, and I think in terms of who's made up the most positions in this race, is that Pablo Diaz-Francis? He didn't have that the greatest qualifying position, as we talked about earlier. Starting in 11th, he's up to 4th. Obviously, he wants to get on that podium. He wants to get into the lead here if he can. He runs a lot of these races. He wants the most points that are on offer. So he's going to be going for it here when we get that green flag.
Very definitely, and a great recovery drive so far for Pablo Diaz-Francis as Van de Sant gets on the throttle. Green flag back in the air. We're underway once again at Dover.
Yeah, we see these big gaps when they go back to green, but those gaps don't seem to really matter all that much.
No, it does not. It's very easy to claw that gap back up. It's nice to have that gap while it's there, but just don't expect it to last the entire stint.
That's exactly right. It closes up real quick. I'm looking at some battles back in the field here in about 15th position. That they're a little bit side by side back here. Jim Wallen back here getting passed by a couple cars in Neben and Morera. But let's check back at the front as that battle's coming down, as we were just saying.
Right as we say it, that gap has once again closed back up. The battle is rejoined as Demerit trying to do what he's been doing for pretty much the entirety of that last green flag run, trying to look for the lead. As Pablo Diaz-Francis now looks to the inside of Franzoni for P3. Not quite doing it.
Not quite doing it. Dakota right there as well. Trey Shadid also trying to take advantage. Anything that happens up here. Pretty healthy gap back to 7th from 6th, though.
That is a pretty big gap so far. Top 6 right now are separated by about 0.6 of a second, and then it's about a full second gap back to that second pack led by the number 12 of Alexandre Rigon. As now Demerit looks to the inside. Doesn't quite get it there. He had a gap open there, it looked like. As we're actually...
Diaz-Francis looking inside for a moment there. He thought about it.
Once again, Pablo Diaz-Francis looking high, looking low. He's looking to the high side now for this move on Rodrigo Franzoni, which, as I've noticed later in the run, you can definitely make that work as tire wear comes in. As now he's looking down the low line. Oh, that was so close. If that didn't...
I think there was contact.
There probably was. If that didn't if that didn't hit his front wing, I would be very surprised. And now Dakota DeMake sees that. He might smell blood in the water. He's looking to get that move done. Doesn't quite get there yet, but he's going to be looking around everywhere as Pablo Diaz-Francis once again is looking to close back up on that top 3.
Yeah, there wasn't contact to make any damage or anything, but he certainly had to get out of it, get out of that throttle pedal. So,
yeah, that was
he's going to set back up, though.
No doubt about that.
Yeah. He's just kind of running out of. He's going to go for it.
That's his main. Franzoni in the wall. Pablo Diaz-Francis, and he collected another one as well.
It was Dakota.
It was Dakota DeMake.
Yeah, Dakota's on his roof. I'm certain that Diaz-Francis, he's got front wing damage. We'll get a replay of this one.
Unbelievable. Pablo Diaz-Francis for the second week in a row has a very strong showing, only for it to go downhill towards the end of the race. But this time it seemed like something of his own doing.
Yeah, that was... he was trying to make that inside line work, but it ran out of space there with Franzoni and Dakota just in the wrong place, wrong time there.
And right now, we actually have an argument going on in the chat between Pablo Diaz-Francis and Rodrigo Franzoni in terms of blame on that one. It looks to me, Francis was being very aggressive on that low line, but so was Franzoni with defending that position. It's a very tough one to call, but both of them paid the ultimate price for aggressively attacking and aggressively defending that position. This is the sort of thing I was expecting to see here tonight, at least to a degree, maybe towards the end of this race, and we got it. And unfortunately, it collected an innocent bystander in Dakota DeMake.
Well, Gary Godso is in the chat. He's from the Miami airport. But he mentioned something that I've got set up here on the stream from a previous Dover broadcast of Greg Ray not being too happy, I believe, with Eddie Cheever is who it was, I think. And it's also got some laser beam. We call it the Greg Ray laser picture. And that's on the stream at the moment. I think that these drivers not too happy with one another and having a kind of similar thought there as Greg Ray did with...
It certainly seems that way. Unfortunately, we can't really cut to it, but there is an argument going on in the chat between Franzoni and Pablo Diaz-Francis about this incident. So this has certainly led to a major moment of animosity between these two drivers who performance-wise were putting in a fantastic showing. But a moment like that was definitely going to lead to some hurt feelings. It's kind of I suppose you could say, is the IndyCar version of Denny Hamlin's "That's short track racing."
Yeah, it really is. We've said it every incident here that there isn't much space out there, and when you're gonna try to stick your nose in there, and it's gonna close real quick, especially when we're 20 laps to go here. Till the end of the race, and nobody wants to give an inch anymore. Whereas they might have given that inch, at the start of the race. Not anymore. I see. I could bring up Dakota here, because he was involved with that incident. But I will wait for him to. What do you think, Steven? Should I bring him up?
Maybe so. But one thing I'm going to point out here, as we're still behind the pace car right now with Christopher Demerit leading the way, is that Alexander Van de Sant is actually coming to the pits on this caution.
Oh, okay.
Interesting strategy call there from our leader. He's now back in 10th position. And right now, as it stands, there's actually only 12 cars remaining on the lead lap. 24 drivers started this race. The last one on the lead lap is, in fact, Pablo Diaz-Francis, who has gotten his front wing changed, and he is going to continue on.
Well, that is a really interesting strategy call by Alex.
Perhaps it's banking on fresh tires. That is certainly a consideration we were talking about before. Maybe
he was leading the race, too, so he would have been burning more fuel than anybody out there.
That is true.
Demerit.
What's interesting, though, is that he came in on lap 34, which is well within the window.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I guess it's a tire call, as you said.
Yeah, it would seem the most likely to me.
Certainly
But-
going to be tough, though.
Yeah. As we are now 1 lap to green. Once again, we'll be coming back to green on lap number 65. Gonna be 16 laps to go here at the Monster Mile. You want to bring Dakota DeMeg in for this final run?
Well, let's see. He might be swearing, so warnings. Hey, Dakota, I got you in the booth here. Got a copy? We'll see. He might not even be there.
Give me a second here. Can you hear me now?
As Dakota DeMeg, pace cars in, green flag back out. Christopher Demerit leading the way.
Chris Demerit leading the way, Trace Shadid in second. So we're going to spread out here right at the start of the run here before we kind of get back into this pack race scene. So any thoughts what you've seen out there, Dakota, here tonight?
Why did Alex pick?
That is a good question. We're going to find out in the next 15 laps why he pit. I guess he's thinking that this is going to be a tire strategy kind of thing, but as we see cars on the apron here.
Possibly so. And Van de Sant didn't seem like he was helped on that restart. He was held up by a guy in front of him being relatively slow off the line. But once again, we see it now, this time with Trace Shadid behind Christopher Demerit. He's now going to be looking for a chance to win this race. And another driver that this has all worked out for, actually 3 more, is Alexandre Rigon, Aaron McQuarrie, and James Kennedy. They've been running a pretty quiet race so far, but right now it seems to have worked out for them in the best possible way.
McQuarrie has gained 10 positions this race. So he started 14th, he's up to 4th. He's trying to see if he can hang on there.
Alan Morea, he's gained 14 from 20th to 6th.
Yeah, big mover here. And he looks again like he wants to gain a little bit more here.
Meanwhile, side by side back there, Kennedy and Morea wheel to wheel. As Morea looks to the outside, he does have the nose in front of that number 15 machine. And behind him is Morea's teammate Adriano Fraporti as he gets behind and gets alongside and past Jeff Highsong in the number 11.
Highsong up from 15th at the start of the race here. I do see Van de Sant up to 9th, but he's kind of running out of laps back here. But he has 2 seconds to the leader, 1.8 now. We're going to see how this goes here.
Just over 9 laps to go for Van de Sant to make this up. Was this a bad move on the part of Van de Sant, banking on something that ultimately would backfire on him as he's looking to the inside of Jeff Highsong? He is going to get P8 here. The question is, can he get by everyone else? They are all bunched together, so catching them is certainly going to be on the cards. But passing them is a big thing.
Oh, boy, there's a slow car on the inside. I think he's going to run out of space up here is what I'm thinking, because they're already 2 by 2 up here. He's not going to be able to get by these guys that are running like that. He's going to have to thread the needle and go 3 wide maybe. We're on board with Alex Van de Sant.
He is going to have to be very aggressive to make this work. As right in front of him, Fraporti and McQuarrie 2 wide there. He's looking to the inside of Aaron McQuarrie in that number 19 machine. As now he's looking to the inside of Fraporti as he's cleared him right there. Fraporti now looking on the rear wing of Aaron McQuarrie running in P5.
I'm still on board with Alex. This is like he's got the best seat in the house for everything going on up at the front. He's
not much time for him to enjoy it. He's going to be thinking, I want to get by all these guys. He's looking to the outside now of James Kennedy. Does he get the launch off the corner? It looks like he is going to get that, but can he hold on to it?
Side by side they go. Heading up to the front.
Winding down very quickly as he's now side by side. Oh, he's in the wall! Make contact with Fraporti. He has gotten in the wall. That is likely going to end his chances here tonight.
Really tough there for Alex, but again, that is the game you play when you run the high line. Yeah, just getting...
Miles the Monster claims yet another victim, it would seem, as we're coming to 3 laps to go. Christopher Demerit looking to make it 3 in a row for the Monday night Top Split broadcast. But he's got Trace Shadid all over his gearbox as we're looking to 2 laps to go. Can he maintain that defensive stance? Shadid is going to have to fight tooth and nail for this.
Looking back, also, that there's still a group of cars. This battle for about fourth place is between about 4 or 5 cars there. So we're gonna keep an eye on the front here because that's the battle we really want to see. There is a lap car in there. Might play a factor. White flag is out.
White flag in the air. Demerit does have a gap there. Shadid not likely to make it happen here, and is not quite going to make it in time. Christopher Demerit off of turn number 4, wins at Dover, makes it 3 in a row on Monday night.
Yeah, and he had some bad luck the first few of these that we broadcast, but he certainly on form these last 3 races, and I know we've got him in the Discord now, so we can get a podium interview with him, a victory interview with him this week.
It would be great to have him up here, as once again Christopher Demerit putting on a spectacular performance at the end of this race, playing it smart as he usually does, and coming home with a very smart result of P1. And we get donuts from him once again for the third week in a row.
He knows how to do the donuts too. I've seen on previous broadcasts. He knows to hold the brakes.
Yeah. With as many as he's done, I'm sure he's gotten plenty of experience.
That's right.
Looking like he might do a Polish victory lap, maybe? Maybe?
Possibly. I have seen him do it on previous broadcasts, so either that or he goes and drives down the pit lane in like reverse or something like that. So we'll see what happens here. But a great victory for Demerit here. Let's go through our final results for everybody else, though, and see what we've got. Monday Night Indy Fix from the Monster Mile, Dover. Chris Demerit, he just blew it up, the engine there.
Blows up the engine once again.
Yep.
If you don't need it, you don't need it, just blow it up.
Not like in the real life IndyCar where they have to use that engine possibly next week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've got the mileage. I think they run like, what, 1,500 miles on the engine before the lease.
You certainly wouldn't get away with that in real life.
No. So Trace Shadid going to be in second. Alex Rigone, P3. Alan Moreira, P4. Aaron McQuarrie, P5. So good run by both Moreira and McQuarrie. Kennedy as well in P6. Adriano Frappori, P7. Jeff Hysong, P8. Brandon Carl, P9. I think you had a bit of a quiet race getting in here in P9.
iRacing Indy. He started dead last, actually.
Yeah,
did Brandon Carl. Started from 24th to 9th, so a very great drive from him. Been kind of quiet, but sometimes the best drives are the quiet ones.
Exactly. Pablo Diaz-Francis there in P10. Jim Wallen, also another kind of quiet drive. He's going to come home. This is the, you pick, you're coming to these tracks, you figure this is going to be a survival race. I'm just going to make sure I'm there at the end surviving. And, you get some good iRating from all of that. Alex Van Zandt led all those laps, but he's going to come home P12. John Silva, he led a few laps, comes home P13. Rodrigo Franzoni, our pole sitter, P14. Dakota Made, P15. We do have Chris Demerit in the waiting for interview, so let me grab him. Let me just quickly do this. Get this off the screen, and I want to go get his car on here. Hey, Chris, this is Matt and Steven up in the Raceverse booth. Congrats on the victory here. Got a copy?
Yep. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was an interesting one, but it ended up being okay. So it all worked out.
Yeah, we didn't get a broadcast interview of you last week. You were just new to the channel, so we couldn't get that working. And I said, hey, we're going to see you at Dover. You weren't so sure, but it did happen.
Yeah, I mean, even on the grid, I wasn't forward to it because, and it would be like just kind of protecting the bottom and trying to stay in line and trying to protect the bottom really, no matter where you are. I'm glad people decided that they could try high and I could swoop in low, and then Alex kind of gave it away by pitting, so everything kind of worked out. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. I was staring at my mirror for the last 15 laps.
Yeah,
I can imagine. So
go ahead, Steven.
And yeah, I can imagine so. And for the Monday nights that we broadcasted, this is your third win in a row, and it seems like a lot of times it has happened. You seem to have been playing it pretty methodical and for a lot of those, and for both those times before, and certainly so tonight. Just kind of not putting yourself in trouble and getting it and waiting for the opportunity being presented to you. It would seem. Would you say that? And I'm guessing you would say that you weren't entirely expecting this sort of result once again, but it would seem to me like you've been one of the most consistent drivers over the last little while, and certainly one of the most methodical.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I try to do is kind of just finish and get the result at the end. Like, I mean, for most of the race, I was convinced I was just gonna finish at best P2 to Alex, and I was just gonna follow him on the bottom the entire time. And if the door was ever open and I could put my nose in there, I would, but I wasn't gonna wreck us both to do it. So, like P2 was always better than trying to wreck out or P3 or P4 even.
That's the kind of my mentality for these sort of races. And actually, getting back to Alex, what were your thoughts when he came in? Do you think you would understand his reason for that late pit stop?
I think after we do half a run on the tires, the new tires are about like 2/10 faster at the beginning of the stint, so it just kind of comes down to how many cars stay out, and I assumed enough would stay out for it not to matter. You probably need to be like second or third in line for the new tires to get you back to the lead. So once I saw that there were a good number of cars that stayed out with me, I felt pretty safe. Like he was gonna. There's some pace benefit there, but I don't think it's enough to just go flying around the outside of people. So he's gonna have to battle his way back up.
Yeah, there were some cars that were kind of side by side in front of him, so it was going to be difficult for him to get back up there. And then he had some contact with another car, and that finished his day for at least coming back through the field. Really good run here, Chris. Next week, we're doing Charlotte Roval, I believe. Only road course of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Then we'll be back at like Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to be in for that one, or?
I'll probably skip and do open next week.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, New Hampshire's pretty fun, so I'll have more fun there than at the Roval. So I'll probably skip the Roval.
Well, I think Gary's going to be back broadcasting that one, but I'll probably be in here as well. Always enjoy the road course broadcasts. So we won't see you here, but we'll see you back at Milwaukee most likely in a couple weeks' time. A great win here, though, Chris.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks. See you then. Hopefully.
All right, that is our winner here tonight. We didn't quite finish the entire field there. Let me see, where were we? We were at Dakota, I think. We had Christian Asan there in P16, Matt Ponto there, P17, Nick Neben, Brian Spots, Matthew Mercer having a tough race there, Oscar Seed. Nate Siefker, he was moving up, and I'm supposed to say Nate's name a whole bunch more times, but said it's going to be really difficult there, Nate, to get your name in here if you got out of the race. Carlos Ruiz, P23, Ethan Corder, our first caution of the race. Again, a lot of net code here. That was kind of the expectation, though, I think, from both of us that, I think you said it in the race. This is the car that has the most net code. The speeds are the highest on these ovals, and this is just the nature of the game, right?
Yep, and especially with the pack racing we saw tonight, I imagined it was going to cause at least one or two incidents, and we certainly got that tonight. Very chaotic race overall, but a very exciting one all the same. And at the end of the day, the drivers that played it the smartest ended up with the biggest rewards.
Yeah, congrats to Chris. We'll be back here right next week for Charlotte Roval. I think it's the first time Indy Fixed has run Charlotte Roval, as far as I'm aware. They usually don't do something like Road America, Watkins Glen. Don't think they've done Charlotte Roval. And all the drivers are very happy that they now have a setup that has a double element front wing, whereas all the road course fixed setups had a single element front wing, the short oval wing. So it'll be a much better race for all those drivers in that respect.
That one will be very interesting to see, no doubt about it.
Well, thanks for joining me. This is Race First coverage, Monday Night Indy Fixed, doing the whole season here. Usually Gary Gotso not able to do this week. He'll be back next week. Thanks for joining me here, Stephen, and you did a great job. I think people said it in the chat, and I'm saying it here too. You're great here in the booth.
Thank you all for joining us tonight.
All right, take care, guys.
You're blind. You're trying to escape from here, aren't you? I want to see how far you can make it before your head is chopped off. Good luck.